Hello, fellow internet dweller. This is Lego Jackman, and welcome to my theme overview of the first wave of Power Miner sets from Lego. This was a theme that ran from December of 2008 to January of 2010, so about 1 year, with only one of the sets running until July 2010. This first wave of Power Miners had 6 sets with 12 unique minifigures and originally cost $144 total if you wanted all 6 of the sets, minus tax and shipping. Nowadays, if you want them all, you're looking at around $129 used total, of course subtracting minus tax and shipping. And if you want them all sealed, it's going to be $468, which is about 3 times as expensive as it originally was back in 2009. Let's take a look at each set individually. The first set is the Stone Chopper, set number 8956. Including 2 minifigures, we have Meltrox, and we have a Power Miner. This is the first set that you could get the red rock monster, the cheapest way. This set originally costed only $6, which is not bad. It is set number 1 of 6. It's just a little grinding stone bike sort of thing. And its driving function is as it drives forward, it's going to be able to chop stone. And you might need to loosen it up a bit, like so. Then it's easier to see there. You don't want it to be too tight, but as it drives, it spins these guys here. And it's not connected to the wheel in any way. The wheel is just kind of like a back support. The Power Miner that's driving it kind of just stands up there. There's a little gem on the side, though it is kind of weird that it's just there. And then we get some exhausts here for the engine. So that is the Stone Chopper. Then we have set number 8957, the Mine Mech. This set was the only way to get the dark green crystal and this rock monster being Boulderax. He's pretty cool. Love the green color. But for the actual mech itself, of course Lego loves mechs, so there's going to be a mech in almost every single theme. It's got the functionality being a little saw here that can be spinned with this little gear in the back. And you also get a claw here that can grab onto the rock monster, but it is not really the best. I guess it's pretty good there, but sometimes it's going to be falling out, so depending on where you hold it. There's a lot of articulation with these arms, and the legs also are able to move a bunch. There's the number 2 there. You get the first appearance of this sort of cage piece that's going to be seen a lot in almost every single set other than the Stone Chopper. There's a light at the top, some tools on the side, and some neat little stickers with caution tape and other designs. So that is the Mine Mech, originally retailing for $8. After that, we have the Granite Grinder, set number 8958. This set had the cheapest way to get Glaciator here, because he also appeared in another set. The Granite Grinder has one of my favorite functions. As you drive it forward, it's going to chip back and forth. And this is because of the rubber band that is on there. Just like so. You get a container here that can attach to the back through this little hook here. just via this chain. And if you have the crystal here, you can just put it in there as you mine it. This can also come off, of course, and then we can have a better look at the granite grinder. The grinder bit has the orange, everything else is green. And you get these 2 gas tanks, which are pretty cool. What you're supposed to do with them is you're supposed to shove them into the mouth of the rock monster, like so. It's pretty weird. And then, like, you release all the gas inside of him. You get a big engine here and a big light on the side. I think that light looks really cool. There's the number and some more stickers. There's lots of stickers in this set. The control panel is also a sticker. You get a little clip on the side for tools, such as an axe. There is the pilot power miner in there. And yeah, this purple rubber band is supposed to be white, but I couldn't find the original white one. You also get a stick of dynamite in there as well. So that is the granite grinder, originally retailing for $10. After the granite grinder comes the claw digger, set number 8959, and originally retailing for only $20. It's the only way you can get sulfurics, the light yellowish green rock monster. This is one of the only vehicles besides the mine mech that doesn't automatically have a feature. You have to move these knobs here if you want the claws to dig. And you do get 2 of those knobs, so you get 2 claws like so. They have the number of the set number 4. And you can move them up like so. You get a bucket here to collect the crystals that you mine. And that can be adjusted slightly. You get some lights and a control sort of depth gauge there. 4 giant wheels. Love these wheel pieces. One of my favorite pieces. A lot of stickers. You get the cage piece again with the pilot power miner in there. 2 bigger lights than the front. And a little storage area for a tool. Moving on to the back, I love this piece. You have a giant engine here. It just looks super cool. 2 pistons with some exhaust and like a turbocharger. So it's a really awesome engine. And then in the back, you have some more clips for tools, like a dynamite and a saw. So that is the claw digger. We then have set number 8960, the Thunder Driller. One of, if not my favorite Lego set of all time. This is the only way you could get Fire Rocks, the rock monster, that is translucent orange. And this is just definitely my favorite of these 6 sets. It is able to be driven forward, and as it does so, the drill here spins. And it doesn't just spin. While the drill spins left, the sort of larger container drill thing here moves to the right. So they move opposite sides, which is even cooler. It's got 4 massive wheels, even bigger than the claw digger wheels, which I love having this little extension here. The entire drill isn't orange, only the kind of connector piece, but I think that looks even better than just an entire thing being orange. You get these wheel wells here protecting the wheels with the set number 5 on there. 2 giant lamps to light up where you're drilling, and a big chain here. Lots of stickers throughout the build. You get some more exhausts on the side there. These big guys, which I have determined, I believe, is some sort of fuel gas tank, because it goes directly into the engine here. And instead of a cage, it's just going to have a little ladder that you can open up, showing the control area. The driver kind of just sits on the floor there with a giant flame sticking out at him. There is also another one of those depth meters. You do get a third or a second power miner, a third minifigure, but he's not really able to fit anywhere in this cockpit area, so you kind of have to put him wherever you want him to go. You get a little bucket here with a stick of dynamite. And then also this top piece here is able to be removed so that you can play out some sort of scenario where you're fixing the engine. Kind of gives a glimpse as to how the techniques work of this set. You can see the wheels are connected to the drill there, front wheels. But that is all for the Thunder Driller. And finally, for set number 8961, the Crystal Sweeper. This set is the only set in the entire wave that includes anything really for the rock monsters. And it is a little catapult decorated with their corresponding crystals that are able to launch the two rock monsters out, which is pretty cool. And I love how these rock pieces are like translucent orange and dark bluish gray, which look really cool. But as for the Crystal Sweeper itself, the main feature is, of course, the sweeper, and it is connected to the front wheel here. The wheels this time are treads like the granite grinder instead of the normal wheels like in the rest of the sets. How this works is that you just need to drive forward, and the sweeper here will sweep anything up. It will hit this container here, and it will fall into the bucket. So to demonstrate, let's take one of the crystals. You do get about 8 crystals. You get 3 blue ones, 3 red ones, and 2 orange ones. And basically you're just going to drive forward, and it's going to sweep it up into the back. You are also able to sweep up rock monsters. It's a bit harder to do so. As you can see, the sweeper is not 100% accurate, and if you do so, it might break the set a little bit. But you can see it does indeed work. This is not the most reliable sweeper, so it can't really be used just to clean up your floor of Legos, which is unfortunate. You also get the sticker here symbolizing the set number 6. 6 again. 2 giant engines in the front, giving the set a pretty angry look if you look at it from this angle here. A control room with 2 big lights. The top is able to be moved to have a steering system there. I really love that use of that piece here for the steering wheel. And some lights on the roof there. You get some clips for tools, a little bit of space for walking around. You get a bike on this side, which is really nice, and it's easily clipped in. It's not even that well clipped in, but it's clipped in just enough so that it won't move on accident, but it's pretty easy to take off of there. And that is able to just go down this ramp like so, and then come back up on it. There's some more clips for tools with a hand drill and a shovel. If you want to dump the crystals that you've swept, or just the parts in general, you can just move this up and move this down. And that will allow all of the crystals to fall out. And then finally, this set also has a big drill on the side here, which is really cool. It's able to be moved quite a bit. You get the cage piece here for the pilot to protect him, and a cool chain dangling off the drill. And this thing has about a 200 and let's say 50 degrees of mobility, rotation, so that's pretty neat. And that is the Crystal Sweeper, the last set in the wave, for originally $70. A cool part of the first wave of Power Miner sets is that there were 3 combination builds that combined 2 sets. The first combination build combined the Stone Chopper and the Mine Mech. The second combination build combined the Granite Grinder with the Thunder Driller. And the third build combined the Claw Digger with the Crystal Sweeper. So let's take a look at those builds. So here is the first combination set, and it is the Cave Cutter, combining the Stone Chopper and the Mine Mech. It's the minifigures are, of course, the minifigures from those sets. This set, first off, or this combination first off, is very ugly, very odd design, doesn't really resemble anything. In terms of practicality, it's kind of all over the place. You know, you get saws, you get these legs, and you get a wheel for some reason. None of these saw blades move like the actual sets do. Like, none of these saw blades move, which is unfortunate. They can be moved like around with these joints, these big joints, but they don't actually dig, or they don't actually cut. There's some pieces in the middle here that fall off pretty easily. And the cockpit is pretty weird. You have to bend the figure back. And it's just kind of all over the place. It's kind of hard to set up in the right direction because you have to like balance it all. And it's just really weird. Having all of these joints doesn't really help the set. So this Cave Cutter is probably the worst combination of the 3. Here is the second combo build. This is the Arrow Shredder, combining the Thunder Driller and the Granite Grinder. This combination build doesn't really fit into the theme of Power Miners as much as the other 2 combination builds do, simply because this is a flying vehicle, and that doesn't really make sense that much. I will say, though, this is a pretty cool looking flying vehicle. So you do get 2. The first one, it doesn't have a specific name or anything. It's got 3 big engines in the back. That looks really awesome. Got the lights on the top. And then the cockpit here with the same kind of flimsy cage design as the Thunder Driller, with the pilot in there. Control sticks are kind of shoved in his face. And I would say these are kind of awkwardly placed here. These side Technic panels, they don't really make much sense being there. But I think all in all, this is a decent looking build. And it also has the chains on the bottom because that attaches to this guy here, which is pretty epic. This one looks a lot more like a Power Miner's vehicle would. It's got a big tire here to grind up rocks, and treads on the side as well for support. The drill from the Granite Grinder does not move back and forth. It is static, unfortunately. We have the cockpit here with the cage piece kind of not fitting all the way around, but that makes sense. And a really cool looking tire. A really cool looking steering wheel. And then on the left, you have a launcher here, which is really awesome. You can fit anything in there. You can fit the dynamite. You can fit a crystal if you want to do that, and it launches things pretty far and pretty fast. So I love the use of that rubber band. And then these two vehicles connect by just simply hooking it on like so. So this is how it is able to be connected, just by kind of attaching it like so. So that is the second combination build, the Arrow Shredder. And for the final combination, we have the Crystal Crawler, combining the Claw Digger and the Crystal Sweeper. This is a massive tank of a build. It is kind of like a dump truck for the Power Miners universe. It has a big claw here in the front that picks up crystals. And so if you pick them up in there, you get a little chain that tries to stop them from falling out. And then you just dump them on in. They might accidentally fall out, who knows. And then you're able to move this guy all the way back like this. Or you can dump them if you want. I'm not going to dump them on my table. Besides the main feature, it's got these giant wheels. We have the 4 big wheels from the Claw Digger, and then the 2 giant treads from the Crystal Sweeper. The front here looks very menacing. I love the look of that. These claws are able to be moved. You just need to move this thing up, and then you have access to these claws that are able to grab things. So if you have one of the larger rock monsters from the second wave, then maybe you can have this grab them. Then we have the 2 pilots in there with a really cool use of this cockpit piece here. Able to be moved up like that. No controls. They kind of just sit there, but I think it looks really nice. Got some lights and some big engine pieces. So this is definitely the coolest combination build, and one that if you're into these combinations, you should totally get an extra Crystal Sweeper and Claw Digger to make this, because it is so cool. All of these sets have a very clear color scheme in common. You're going to see the bulk of the build is going to be lime green, this very bright green. And the drilling or functional bits of each build is highlighted in orange, with the little blades there, the claw and the drill, the grinder, the claws, the giant drill, and the sweeper with the drill there and the bucket there, all highlighted in orange. These sets are also numbered, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And this is nice because it carries out throughout the entire theme. And there's only one set number on a set that is missing from the 3rd wave of Power Miners, but we can look at that once we take a look at the 3rd wave of Power Miners. And all the minifigures, of course, are in basically the same outfit. These big lamps are common throughout each set here, except for this one here. This one doesn't have a light. The Stone Chopper has no light on it. Otherwise, they all have lights. So those are some of the design similarities between all 6 sets. Here would be a good way to display these sets together. What I call this is the active display, because all of the Power Miners are in their locations of driving. So you have all of the people in their vehicles, and then you have the rock monsters with their respective crystals in front of each set that they are from, except for, of course, the Crystal Sweeper, in which they can actually go into their catapult, so therefore it being the active setup. And this way, All the vehicles are tilted a little bit. I like it when sets are tilted. You can see I tilt pretty much all my sets that are especially vehicles, just to give it a nice angle from both this side and the front. And you can tilt it either way. But this is one way to display these sets, and you also have some space in the back for if you have more sets, something like that. So that is, I would say, the active way to set them up. And here's a more passive way to display them with all of the minifigures, including the pilots, the power miners, to be in front of their respective sets. Of course, for each minifigure, you could have one of those minifigure base plates beneath each one, but I don't have enough for all of these guys. So I'm just putting them in front like this. This way, they're not in the vehicles. Instead, they're being displayed out in the front in case it is harder to see them, such as if Brains here is inside the vehicle, it'd be really hard, if not impossible, to see him in there when looking at the sets. So this is a more passive way that also shows off the minifigures. Here is how I display my Power Miner sets. This is a bit more of a compacted way, simply because I don't have that much shelf space. Some downsides is I have to hide, like, for example, this catapult down here. But this is a good way to kind of compact everything together with the crystal sweeper, and then moving down this way, having all of the rock monsters down here. Of course, this one and this one is not part of these 6 sets, but this is the way that I display them, and this is a good way to kind of have them take up less space. One last display suggestion would be if you have a shelf that is pretty deep, you would be able to display the sets like this, where you have the 3 big sets in the back, and then the smaller sets in the front, with the rock monsters down here. This would be a more active display because you can't really fit all of the minifigures in the front here. But if you have the space, this is a little less compact than the way that I display my sets. But if you have the space, then I would suggest this also looks pretty darn good. Taking a look at the minifigures in terms of power miners, in the Stone Chopper, you just get a generic power miner with no name. In the Mind Mech, you get Brains. In the Granite Grinder, this guy does not have a name, so just another generic one, but he is unique to the set, at least for the first wave. Then you get Rex from the Claw Digger. From the Thunder Driller, you get 2 named characters, Duke and Doc. Duke being my favorite. I love the soot on his face there. And then finally, in the Crystal Sweeper, you do get Brains again with some goggles this time. And then you also get another generic power miner, but he is unique. So Brains is the only minifigure out of the first wave that appears more than once in terms of the power miners. They all have the same blue helmet, which looks really cool. It's actually just a recolor from the original one from Rock Raiders, which is pretty neat. They all have the same leg printing with this chain and flashlight, but then they have different arm printing. Some of them have sleeves, most of them don't. They got blue overalls and a gray undershirt. It seems like Doc is kind of like the captain. He's got a star on there. This guy's got a bomb. Same with Rex. Same with this guy. And then we got some drill insignias on Duke and the first one. And then finally Brains with a little beaker there. So those are the power miners that you get within the first 6 sets. And as for rock monsters, in the Stone Chopper, you get Meltrox. In the Mine Mech, you get Boulderax. In the Granite Grinder, you get Glaciator. In the Claw Digger, you get Sulfurix. And in the Thunder Driller, you get Fireox. Fireox, Sulfurix, and Boulderax are the 3 exclusive ones because Glaciator and Meltrox appear again in the Crystal Sweeper in terms of the first wave of sets. I love the translucent on these guys. They make them really pop out. And I love their feature that they're able to open their mouths and eat crystals. So these are really awesome figures, and I'm glad that you get one in each set. Here are all the instructions for the sets. So we have the Stone Chopper, the Mine Mech, the Granite Grinder, the Claw Digger, the Thunder Driller, and then the Crystal Sweeper, which is the only one that has 2 manuals. Something that's kind of interesting and awkward is that the Mine Mech here has very tall instructions for its tall box, but when you open it, you think it opens like this, but actually you have to turn it like this. However, on the other hand, you have the Granite Grinder box, or the Granite Grinder instructions that are horizontal, and because of the box, and you think, okay, you open it like this, because you don't open it from the side, for some strange reason. You open it up, oh, now I have to turn it, and now it's tall, like what this should have been, but it's not. So, it's kind of awkward how it's like that. But yeah, and in the back of these instructions, so first off, they have the same lines like on the boxes, and in the back there's some pretty interesting information outside of the part count, of course. You get this poster in various sizes, and this is a really awesome poster that shows all of the vehicles and them in action, basically. You have the 4 smaller sets on the left here, and the 2 bigger ones on the right. It's kind of interesting because this minifigure here is from the Boulder Blaster, which is not from the first 6 sets, first wave. So we have the Stone Chopper here in the middle, the Mine Mech, Granite Grinder, Claw Digger, Thunder Driller, and Crystal Sweeper. If you had an extra set of instructions, you could cut this out and make it into a poster. That would look pretty cool. Then you got this, which is a checklist here for the, I guess looks like it's for just the rock monsters, but it's more of a checklist for just all 6 sets. There's Meltrox, Boulderax, Glaciator, Sulfurix, Fireox, and then Glaciator and Meltrox again. And then here's this little advertisement that shows the mining functionality of each of the sets. And then a little advert as well that shows the combinations for each set and which sets are involved in which combination. It doesn't say the names of them, so you have to look at the back of the box in order to find the names of these, which is kind of strange. But yeah, those are the instructions for the Power Miner sets. Here are the boxes for the Power Miner sets. I am missing the Granite Grinder box. I thought I had it, but apparently I had lost it and it was damaged anyway, so yeah, I only have the 5 boxes that I have here. What's special about these boxes is on the backs of them, you're gonna see that they have the combination build, on them right there. And it tells you the name. That's really the only place that it says the name. Otherwise, it's not going to say the name in the instructions, anything like that. They have this pretty cool, like, caution tape design. And it's all green, of course. Love this lime green color. But other than that, that's kind of all I have to say about the boxes. I mean, they're just normal boxes. This one, though, I guess is really thick compared to the rest of them. It's even thicker than the Crystal Sweeper, which is kind of odd. But yeah, that is all the boxes for the Power Miner sets. Of course, minus the Granite Grinder. The story of Power Miners is that the Earth is experiencing sort of earthquakes, and they send these three vehicles here, the Stone Chopper, Mine Mech, and Granite Grinder, to investigate underground, and that is where they find the rock monsters. And so these rock monsters are trying to get the crystals, that if they eat the crystals, they power up and get stronger. And that's what's causing the earthquakes. So the Power Miners send the three bigger vehicles, the Claw Digger, Thunder Driller, and Crystal Sweeper, to go down and stop the rock monsters in order to stop the earthquakes and the collapse of the Earth. If you want to see more, I'll link the original story video in the description. I personally love the Power Miner sets. It actually contains two of my favorite sets of all time, being the Thunder Driller and Crystal Sweeper. I fondly remember playing with these sets when I was younger, and it's just become one of my favorite themes, and I think it's probably one of the best themes LEGO has ever made. It was a continuation or a spiritual successor to the Rock Raiders theme, of which I don't have any sets. I just prefer this theme. It's more colorful, more nostalgic, of course, for me, because I grew up with these sets. And I just think that they're awesome sets, awesome concept, and awesome execution. None of these sets, I would say, are bad, except for the combinations, but the combinations don't really count. But yeah, that is my theme overview of the first wave of Power Miner sets. If you enjoyed, maybe consider leaving a like or subscribing. And I have reviews for each set on here going more in depth. So if you see a set here that you want me to go into more detail, just take a look at the description and there will be a playlist for that review. The second wave of Power Miners review will be probably in a year or more, because I don't have any of the sets and I don't want to review the theme if I don't have any of the sets. So it's going to be a while before the second wave or third wave of Power Miner sets wave overview is going to come out. But until then, I hope you enjoy the rest of my videos. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Peace out.